And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is, wherever you're seeing this show. Slim Dorman with Southern Fried Paranormal. Tonight we will have the Paranormally Blonde ladies. I'm looking forward to this. I have not spoken with them. We have not talked. We've never worked together. So I'm looking forward to speaking and talking to them for the next 2 hours plus. Last week's show ran 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's one of the nice things about having a later show. There's nothing behind you. Anyway, let me cover some of this area about what these ladies are all about. Good gracious alive. You're making me read. I ain't had this much reading assignment since I was in elementary school. Dede has been a host and co-host for paranormal shows and podcasts since 2015. She has appeared on Vice, Side Hustles, where she talks about haunted dolls, and picks one to take home. In case you didn't know, Dede has a bit of an obsession and history with collecting said to be haunted dolls and objects. Okay. Dede and her dolls were interviewed for a Washington Post segment because of her haunted collection. She has also investigated locations such as the Cosmopolitan Hotel, Old Town San Diego, the Whaley House, Binions Hotel, Las Vegas, and many other Southern California locations that are said to be haunted. Dede excels at capturing thought-provoking images such as mist, apparitions, shadow figures, and the unexplained. Be interesting talking to me. My wife has a hard time explaining me. She also has a passion, talent for dream analysis, and can turn your dreams into a dream story. Okay, now we move on. See. Two investigators invite everyone from artists or authors, equipment and content creators, clothing line designers, and jewelry makers to their circle of friends to discuss what makes the community interesting and magical. With humor, deeper dives, and sensuous consideration of all things paranormal, join them in conversations during their live shows to ask and make new friends. And you will be on with the Paranormally Blondes. Right now, that's enough talk, that's enough reading. And we're going to bring the ladies on right about now.
Hi.
That's not,
hello.
That's not the way I want to see this. Let's switch it around. I am not supposed to be the center of attraction here. There we go. How's that?
Do you like it? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
If you're good with it, we're good with
I
it.
like it. What I like doesn't really matter. I'm just the stupid host of this show.
It's all good.
You two are the stars of this show.
Well, look at that.
And by the way, I got your names from Miranda on the Biker Girl show.
Ghost Biker, yeah. She's awesome.
Ghost Biker, yes. She is a fantastic lady. I have been on her show. She has been on my show. And we're going to be, later this summer, we're going to be working together since her show was on before mine. And just, I'm on her show to start with, and then we just go straight into my show and keep talking.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
So we may do a little experimenting. I'm in another group, but we're getting talking groups now where we're going to be investigating and doing ghost box through the internet. And because we've done some experiments with that so far, and the results have been almost scary. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. Sarah and Dede, would you like to talk about where you've been, what you've done, and get us up to date on the Paranormally Blonde ladies?
Uh-oh. Dede, do you want to start with that? Uh-oh. You're muted. Dede's muted.
Yeah. Dede is muted.
She is muted.
Oh, no.
There she is. Now we can.
Okay. Well, I said we just moved over to a new channel, and so that's been really exciting. And for us, like you, we would go way over, and some episodes were like around 45 minutes. Fun. And so now we're a strict hour, maybe a little bit less. So we're
Strict,
doing.
yeah.
So we're thinking about having an after show.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Gotcha.
we're like at that 7
Okay.
p.m. prime time, so we're like a strict 55 minutes almost, really.
Yes.
Plus, with the intro and outro, it's like a strict 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I kind of know how that feels. My show was at 7 o'clock, but that was right at supper time, and obviously having to eat early when I wasn't really hungry, or waiting until after 9 o'clock our local time when I was really hungry to eat.
Yeah.
So I moved the show to 10 o'clock at night, and it works out to an advantage because again, local time 10 o'clock. It works to my big advantage because on my network WLFE there is no show after mine.
Oh, beautiful.
So if I run a little bit, he told me to start with, if you run 5 minutes over, that's fine. Just don't interfere too much with the show behind you. And with no show behind me, it doesn't matter. I just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you going to do if that changes?
Yeah, that's true. Well, if it changes, we figure it out, right? Like,
you guys can hear me, right?
But
okay.
Tell the audience. Yeah. We're all having a lot of freeze up problems here.
Oh. Let's see. Make sure everything's good on my end here.
You shouldn't affect it though.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
And Michael Greer can hear me. You're just on time. He had
Michael.
asking him later, you early. So we're a tad early, but again, I start the show a tad early. I was trying something new tonight with the music, playing the music beforehand, but apparently we can't talk with each other with the music playing.
Oh.
When the show is live, we can't talk in the green room. So I just went ahead and said the heck with it. We started the show at 5 minutes early. So, but we are live, and it is just now getting to be top of the hour. So, who wants to talk about y'all the most, Dede or Sarah?
We all know it's Sarah.
Yeah, I talk the most. So, but it's a talk show that we do. So yeah, exactly. I figure once we get those guests on, you just got to fire some questions off and get the conversation going. And, we utilize the friends of our show to kind of participate, and they ask amazing questions. Yeah. And they tend to keep us on track too. So not going too far off, sometimes you can kind of go off into different directions, but they usually like to bring it right back to what we were talking about. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I think our show works really well. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot of fun. We have some amazing
guests. I'll have to come on your show sometime because it sounds like fun.
Oh my gosh, yes,
it sounds
absolutely.
Like it would be a lot of fun.
You will have to come on.
Michael does have a question. Does Dede have a fan on? He sees a shimmer in the pic over her shoulder.
Yeah, okay. No. I have a fan on. It's like 8 degrees.
Ooh. Where are y'all exactly? What part of the country?
I'm in California, Southern California.
And I'm in Michigan.
Well, it's a big temperature difference there.
Yes, it is. It is, but it works, right? We get to cover the entire United States. Yeah. Oh, there you go. We got all the time, things going on, right?
Yeah.
And right. In my network, WLFE, they're mostly around New York, New York area, Rochester, New York area. In fact, they got a big Paracon. That's what you kind of saw when I first went live, is advertising for their Paracon this weekend, starting
cool.
tomorrow.
Fun.
But yes, so we laugh about the differences between the temperatures in kind of upstate New York and downstate Arkansas.
Yeah.
Because I live in the southeastern part of Arkansas, over here. Michael's in Illinois. Michael, what part of Illinois are you from? Because I lived in Chicago 14 and a half years.
Oh. How did you end up in Arkansas?
Give you a little time to type that in. People asked my wife and I that question all day long. She was born in Chicago, but her parents were from down here in Arkansas, Dumas and Gould. Dumas, unfortunately, got in the news last week because of that shooting last weekend at the car show. Her father was from Dumas. Her mother's from a town about 5-6 miles away from Dumas, Gould, Arkansas. And I retired, and she was working on it. And I started doing math, and I said, from Social Security alone, we won't have anything to live on paying the property taxes on our house here in Chicago. Why don't we go down to Arkansas? So
and are you
our
happy
property
with your
taxes
choice?
on 4 acres in a 3-bedroom home. Oh yeah, 3 bedrooms for 2 people, only 2 people. 3 bedrooms, 3-bedroom house, 4 acres of land, and $200 a year in property taxes.
Wow,
can't beat that.
There you go. But I heard you have tornadoes. I watched your last show, and you had like tornadoes.
Yeah, Arkansas tornadoes.
Yes, we're kind of at the end because Oklahoma's not all that far away, and North Texas is just a straight shot away. We're about the same latitude as Dallas, so yeah, we're kind of toward the end of Tornado Alley. So we have to watch for tornadoes, and we're close enough to the Gulf. It's about 50-60 miles from the Louisiana border, where we have to look out for hurricanes. So we watch the weather every month.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Huh. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Michael's got relatives in Arkansas too.
Huh, how about that?
Oh, he's an hour south of Chicago, so he is over there close to one of my favorite places to investigate, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Oh,
that is very popular.
It's very popular. It was very haunted. I've got to take some responsibility for de-haunting that place.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I got some. There was a spirit that came in there specifically. You remember the picture of the white lady on the stone from Bachelor's Grove?
Mm-hmm.
The most famous ghost picture ever taken. Mm-hmm. I found out who that was through a lot of research. It's Amelia Patrick Humphrey. She has a history. I'm not going to go into this. This show's not me. And I can do this on YouTube Live, whatever, without guests. But I found out who it was, and the reason she was there. Her firstborn child died at 11 months and 4 days old in 1865 and is buried in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. So she was showing up every evening right at dusk to be with her firstborn child. And I spent some time with the younger child's spirit, and she got where she could move around better because she was stuck there. Her mother had to come get her and take her somewhere. She finally got freed up enough where she could figure things out. And I just told her mother, I said, look, you have never seen the world. You saw the Chicagoland area. She's buried in Orland Park, a few miles away from Bachelor's Grove. I said, go see places. Go see Paris. Go see London. Go to the West Coast. Go to the Gulf Coast. Do what you want to do. But don't sit there and spend any more time in this abandoned cemetery. She will only answer certain people when they go in there with the spirit box. The only person I know of really getting a response from her now is Dale Kazmarek. And that picture is copyrighted by him and Judy Huff. She took it under his banner, under his group. And he's right now the only one she will contact. He can go in there, call her name a few times, and she'll answer. but he's about the only one that's going to get her to answer. She's off seeing the world, doing what ghosts can do. She's not in that cemetery all the time anymore.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what I was going to do if when I pass away. I'm actually a vampire. When I pass away, I was going to go.
You're going to live forever.
I would like to jump off. I already have haunting ideas. Where I want to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower and then repeatedly jump, so people are like,
horrifying.
That'll scare some French folks. Crazy American jumping off the Eiffel Tower over and over. You have to do it at the same time every day.
Then they can study it.
Yes. So they know that at 9:45 a.m. or p.m., whatever, they see you, and there you are preparing to jump, and you jump.
Yeah.
At the exact same second every day, and you'll have all kinds of cameras pointed at you.
Right.
At that time of day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're all seeing the world. They deserve it. They've been locked in that abandoned cemetery for years and years, and I talked them into doing a better life or afterlife. And some of the nighttime spirits, that cannot be blamed on me, because the county, who actually owns the cemetery, is actually owning up or stepping up and taking a little responsibility and keeping people that was painting the cemetery, tagging it, turning the headstones over, digging a body up. They've stopped all that.
Wow.
So the spirits that were doing bad things are not that active anymore. They're kind of happy. The spirits wanted an owner of the cemetery, somebody to step up, keep the grass cut, kind of take care of the place, and keep the rowdy people out of there. And the county's finally stepping up and doing that. So between me and the county, Bachelor's Grove is not the haunted place it was before I left Chicago, which is 6 years ago now.
That's
so
interesting.
That up a little bit.
No, that's interesting.
So yeah, I've had a lot of fun there, and still the story is amazing. And one of these days I got to go. I'm thinking about expanding into either strictly a Facebook for an hour a week, or YouTube for an hour a week, and telling some of these stories like this.
Yeah, you should.
I was on Rob Hernandez's show last night. I was just in his chat room, and he said, why don't, if you want to talk, come on. I said, send me the link. And so I came in here, turned on my studio, and I was on his show for about an hour and a half last night. I'm sitting there talking. That's why I'm a little bit hoarse tonight. Where is y'all's favorite investigation? I mean, y'all are far apart, but do you have a common place, or you have two separate places that are your favorites?
It would be separate.
Yeah, it'd be. So we haven't even investigated together yet.
No.
We've not been in the same place at the same time physically. No.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do you investigate with? That's
I
questions that both
investigate with my husband.
And I have a team with my two sisters. So yeah, we kind of do our own thing, and then we come together and talk about the stuff that we discover and what we like to do. But hopefully now we'll start to get some locations that we can meet up at and check them out together. But yeah, Dede, you've got some great locations that you go to.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. Right now, my favorite's the Queen Mary, because I discovered that I have that shadow figure. Yeah. Which was amazing.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I also liked Binions. Yeah. Because again, I got a photograph of a apparition in the hallway, which made me go back and ghost hunt there with a team that runs that ghost. I looked them up. They're not doing it anymore, I guess. But and I just thought that was a pretty active place. Every place is my favorite. Any place I go to investigate, there's always something that I take from it that fulfills me in some way and piques my interest in new ways, things I hadn't thought of. And I always blow my mind when I go back and I find stuff like, just discovered. I went to Queen Mary 2019, I think it was. And I did not notice that until the other day. I was editing a video. I was trying to make a small video for my channel where it shows little pieces of all my investigations. And I looked at it. I'm like, what is that? And it's literally a shadow because I'm only panning by for a moment, you know? And so I never noticed it because I was concentrating on the funny part of the video. I was being locked into a room in the isolation ward. And so it was about me being afraid of being locked in. And that's what I was focusing on. And then when I looked at the video again, as I'm editing it, I'm like, there's a shadow figure.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was a good one too.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I've had the same thing happen to me. Tell us a little bit about your husband. Is he into the paranormal or is he just supporting you?
Well, he makes equipment, but he's not into the paranormal. Like he's not seeking it out, but he goes with me and he enjoys it when we do it. Like we've done the Estes method and he makes equipment and all that kind of stuff. So he's into it, but like he's not going off on his own. Like he's not like looking to go by himself. It's more like we're going to go stay at a hotel and we're going to have a trip and we're, you know, looking for ghosts and he gets to make equipment and stuff like that. And so that's where his interest is in it, you know? So
I got you. My wife has even less. She does not make equipment, and she does not investigate with me. But have you ever pulled a gag on your husband, like made a ghost go over there to him?
No,
you hadn't. You ever heard of the Allen House in Monticello, Arkansas? It's been haunted for years. Professor Spencer has been living in there. He lets people in there. It's cash. You got to pay money to get in there. He's had about 4 different TV shows in there. If you remember the Ghost Brothers show,
yeah, that's probably must be
their first show.
Okay,
was at the Allen House.
Okay,
and Ghost Adventures has been in there. A couple of other. I think Ghost Hunters was in there years ago. But I was in there at a public time. And I was talking to one of the guides, and I'd been in there for a couple of hours. They just let me hang around through, even though group after group come through, they let me hang around, do a little investigation. And I looked at the guide. I said, "Gosh, it's late. Where is my wife?" Because I had no idea what floor she was on. It's got an attic to a 2-story, got a basement. I said, "I don't even know where she is." And we were actually talking to Amelia. Excuse me. I said Amelia, as I'm still stuck in Bachelor's Grove, talking to Ladell, which is the primary spirit there in the Allen House. And she said, wait a second, and was gone. Me and the guy looked at her. He said, "She's gone." I said, "Yes, she stepped away from us real quick," because we could both feel her. Plus hear her over Echovox, if you've ever used that little app. And she zipped away for about 10, 15 seconds. She came back and said, "Yep." And that's all she said. I said, "Okay." Then I said, let me go catch the wife. And I said, "Okay, where is she?" And she guided me real quick straight to where my wife was, even though I had no idea what floor she was on. I walked straight up to the wife. And I said, she looked up. She said, I knew you were coming. She said, "Why?" I said, "Because I just had a ghost come up there and reach out and touch me and leave."
So she was helping me.
She was helping me. She was checking on where the wife was and seeing if she was indeed ready to go. And she found out she was, came back and told me.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That, of course, the wife thought about it for a little bit. She really panics when a child gets involved. She will not go anywhere with a child's spirits are attracted to her. We went to the Glisner house in Chicago. You can look that up too. It's known to be haunted. The woman who used to own the house appears in different age groups. Sometimes you see her as a 5-year-old. Another time you see her as just before she died, close to 80. So you don't know what age she's going to appear to you in. And we were upstairs we're coming down the steps, going to the second floor. And my wife had a little 5-year-old girl reach up and grab her hand. And she says, it's okay, don't be scared, and led her down the staircase.
Oh,
Wow. Huh.
So that kind of creeped the wife out, and she won't go anywhere with this child spirit. She said, "You're on your own."
well, they
So
do
that,
say the child spirits could be demonic, right? Like you never know. They
yeah,
always say you have to be
you
careful,
never know.
right? You never know.
Yeah, I think I would know the difference. The couple of child spirits I've been involved with come out to be child spirits that never did anything wrong to me.
Right.
One of the gag I pulled on her accidentally was, I called it a gag because it was funny afterward. We were at a Civil War battle here in Arkansas, just about a 30, 40 miles away, 45 miles away from here. And it was a supply train, Northern supply train, attacked by Confederate soldiers. And there was a plantation house. I called it a mansion. It wasn't the thing from the movies like they have in New Orleans, where you got half an acre with a roof over it. But you know what I'm talking about, Gone with the Wind, etc.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite like that, but it was an impressive house that was there. It's not there anymore at all. But the train stopped right in front of their front door. That was the first of it. And I don't know if either one of you have been in the military or not, but the way to attack a supply train or any kind of formation going down a road, you shoot at the front one, and where the train, whatever it's made of, tanks, trucks, horse-drawn carriages, whatever, you shoot at the first one, disable it. They can't go forward. You go back and shoot at the last couple of ones, and they can't go backwards. Mm. All they can do is sit there, and anybody thinking is going to abandon whatever vehicle they're in. Even if you're in a tank, you're going to abandon your tank because your tank's about to be shot at. And this happened right in front of that house, in front of a 12 and a 6 or 7-year-old. Can you imagine? I don't know if either one of you have daughters.
Mm-hmm. I have 2.
Can you imagine your daughters at 12 and 7 or 8 years old having to act as nurses for soldiers wounded in combat?
No.
For months, not just a day or so, but for months until they can leave. And that's what happened at this house. We found out through reading some of the plaques and doing a little bit of research that I'd parked the car exactly where that first horse-drawn wagon was shot. The drivers were shot. Huh. And that just thoroughly creeped her out. She was sitting up there, a little bit nervous and didn't quite know why. She was at the exact location of where in 1864, 2 drivers on that wagon were shot and killed.
Huh.
Interesting.
So, yeah, she did not thank me too much for that.
So is she intuitive or psychic? Because she seems to have a lot of experiences with spirits.
It's kind of because of me. People, we've been married for over 20 years, and she seems to get along. I usually end up with female spirits somehow or another. And they seem to appreciate the fact that we're married and happily married after 20 years. Ladell, that's what she's respected. And the reason she committed suicide, if you did any research, is because she was in love with a man, but he went off to fight in World War I, and she couldn't wait. She married somebody else who abused her, gave her a son, but then divorced. He couldn't stay out of the bars. He was a gambler, a drinker, and she finally divorced him. And she started having the guy she was in love with actually came back from World War I, and they started having an affair. He had gotten married, since she was married when he got back. He got married, but they got together, started having an affair, and he took her to Chicago of all places. Minneapolis. They met up in Minneapolis a lot. Took her to New York. Her son ended up working in New York for a short time. In fact, he died there. But at a very young age, I think 23 years old. And Ladell was constantly bothering, trying to get, him to leave his wife and come there back to Monticello, Arkansas, and live with her. And he always said he was, and never did. And he finally wrote a letter, said, "Look, we just got to break this off. The wife kind of knows, and she's putting pressure on me, and I'll lose my fortune if I divorce her."
Mm.
And she had gone and gotten a poison and took it and killed herself. And it was a slow death. It took her 2 days to die.
Yeah, poisoning is not a good way to go.
I don't think I could do it to myself.
No.
The reason we know all this is because Professor Spencer was told something's under the floor in the attic, and pulled up a board or two and found a whole bunch of love letters she had written him.
Huh.
So that's how he knows the story.
Wow.
And her son Alan, now he is a prankster. She likes Ladell will give out on you. So they have a lot of public tours like doing Halloween. Or you talk to her too long, she's going to tire her out and fade away. Alan is her son's younger spirit. He likes to be with the tours. He understands economics. He helps the Spencers out. So he says, "Okay, they need a ghost to do something. Let me do it." And he does it. I was in there one night, and this young guy walked in wearing a baseball cap. And I was talking to Alan. I said, "Alan, can you give me the name to the gentleman wearing the baseball cap?" There's only one guy wearing a baseball cap in this part of the tour. It's about 10 or 12 people there. He was the only one wearing a baseball cap. "Can you give me his name?" He immediately said his name. I did not know the name. This could not be fake. I had no idea this man's name. He said the name loud enough over Echovox that the guy froze for a second, panicked, and ran out of the house.
Mm.
And of course, Alan had a little laughter for that I heard. And because that's how he is, he likes to pull a joke on you once in a while.
Interesting.
And I'm thinking when the Ghost Brothers were there, a couple of little gags they got pulled on them was Alan messing around.
I'll have to check that place out.
It's a very interesting place. If you ever come down to Arkansas, get hold of the Allen House on the web and reserve some time. Now you got to pay for it, but the money goes right back into the house. They use that strictly, to do some painting when necessary, or whatever the house needs. Any kind of maintenance repairs.
Do they live there?
Michael Greer.
They live there. The owner lives there.
Yes, the Spencers live there. They've raised their kids there. And when they do public tours around Halloween, it's actually their oldest daughter who will show you around the house.
Okay, interesting.
And sometimes their younger kids will actually guide you around.
Okay.
So yes, they do live there. That's why it's the number one on a lot of people's list, most haunted, privately owned houses.
Okay.
So it's not a haunted location.
Actually live in the house, because it can't be too bad if they're living in the home with these spirits, right? And do they have any a lot of haunted places will say no Ouija boards and stuff like that. Do they have any rules like that?
No photography, because they have a lot of paintings on the wall that are copyrighted. Mm-hmm. So they can't have, people with videos or stills of some of the paintings they have in the house, because they've told them we can't.
That would leave me out
on YouTube.
That's your best evidence.
Thing is taking photos. Yeah.
Right.
That's my best thing. I mean, I do get stuff on ghost boxes and stuff, and I get occasional EVP, but it's the camera and video that's
You get phenomenal pictures. Yeah.
Thank you.
You do.
What? Okay, we know what Dede's favorite device is. Sarah, what is your favorite device?
Probably where I get my most would be EVP, recordings. But Dede kind of attracts the ghost and I kind of repel. So, it's more about kind of just, I don't know, just roaming the locations and soaking it in. And it's not that things don't happen, but I feel like, when Dede points her camera, there just hasn't been an investigation yet that she hasn't shared like a picture and you're like, what the heck is that? Like you always get something really great. Pictures, I think I don't carry a camera around. I almost need to like hire somebody to just follow me around, because when my sisters and I are working, you just don't think of it right at that moment, because if we're doing an EVP, you can't do every piece of equipment, right? So,
yeah.
But I would say probably recorder, but it changes because then I can kind of get into dowsing rods, and then sometimes it's just myself, like it's just me feeling stuff. So I don't, I don't think, maybe I would just say recorder just because I think it's probably one of the better, I don't know, you get a voice, right? And not that they're always obvious what they're saying, but I feel like when you get a voice, that's a pretty good piece of evidence, right?
Yes,
I do too.
It is.
Yeah. So, yeah.
When it's coming out of nowhere.
Or if you feel like there was something so obvious. I mean, my sisters and I, even in my home, we've messed around with EVPs, and we've, asked the question, like, do you know you're dead? Whoever we were asking that to. And we have somebody respond, yes, I know I'm dead. It's like, oh, where did that come from? And why is it in my house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say, recorder for me.
Yeah.
Are you the top investigator among your sisters?
Yes. They're probably not watching because they're probably sleeping. So I'll say yes. I would say yes for a couple reasons. We all three have our thing that we're really good at. So I think I'm just good at kind of getting everybody to, like, it's like wrangling everybody in, right? And then I've got a sister who is, you tell her what to do and she's on it. She's my little workhorse. You say, do a SLS or, do the FLIR or whatever, she's on it. And then the oldest of us, she's really good at just provoking. She's just crazy energy. You can get her to provoke anything. So I just kind of, I'm the baby of the family. So I just kind of wrangle everybody in and
Oh, okay.
So I'm top. I'm the lead.
The youngest is often the toughest.
Yeah, the youngest is often the lead. Yeah, it's just how it goes. I guess being the baby of the family, right? And there's an age spread. So my sisters are 10 and 7 years older than me. So I'm like an only child. So I guess just it's kind of bratty, I guess. Not really bratty, but like I'm used to having my way. So
you just expect it.
I just expect it. It works. It's all good.
Okay, so just the three of you. Dede, it's just you and your husband going around. Y'all ever have any troubles with just the two of you? Been smooth sailing, or?
We've had like experiences that you could call negative experiences. I can tell you, we went to Binions. We went on a trip to Las Vegas on Halloween. We went to the Zach Bagans Haunted Museum first.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we went to Binions to do a ghost hunt. And it was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock at night when the ghost hunt was going on. And so there was one room, and it was a secret counting room for the gamblers. They would go back there and they would count the money, and they had lookouts and stuff. And that's supposed to be very haunted. And so we were doing EVP sessions in there and just checking it out. And I was standing in this one section, and I literally felt like I was sinking into the floor, like on an elevator, but not moving, but almost like being crushed. Mm-hmm. And I stepped away from the wall that I was standing by, and I was like, okay. And I stepped back, and then I felt it. And then I stepped away again. I actually started to stumble, and my husband caught like my fall. And so I'm trying to explain to people how I felt, and some people are just looking at me like, yeah, right. I'm like, but I'm really having this experience. So another lady stepped into the spot, and she said she kind of felt something. And there was a guy there who was a demonologist. And so he stepped in the spot, and he was extremely like checking it out, but very skeptical. And he said he didn't feel anything. So then the one of the guys who was leading the ghost hunt, he was using the K2, and it was registering stuff. So, I don't know. But so we're on the way home, and we did get good responses when we were upstairs. I had asked, because I had taken a picture of the apparition, and I said, who was the man in my picture, the apparition? And I got the name Clark. And so that's why we've all named my ghost Clark.
Yeah.
And so, and maybe that is his name. I don't know. And so when we were coming back to the hotel, it's really late, and we take the elevator up, and there's this weird guy in the elevator with us. Now it's Las Vegas. It's, I don't know, 1:00 in the morning or something.
It's Vegas.
And the guy we're at the Excalibur. So, and so he's leaning against the buttons, right? And so luckily there's 2 sets of buttons. So we push it on our side, and he's leaning against the buttons, and he's not moving. It didn't even look like he was breathing. He was just weird. We never got to see his face because he was like down like this, at the buttons. And so then the door, ding, it opens. And so we like get out, and so we go around the corner, and I just felt like someone was following us. And I'm like, oh my God, that creepy guy is following us. I turn around, he's not there. I'm like, okay, I know that guy's there. I know he got off the elevator with us. We're walking a little bit more. I look back again. So I look back like 4 or 5 times. My husband's all, what are you looking at? And I'm like, I thought that guy got off the elevator and he's following us. And he's all, well, I don't see him. I'm like, I don't see him either. But like, I still felt like someone was following us. And so I said, if you followed me, that's fine. But you have to stay here at the hotel. You cannot come home with me. And then, it was fine. But it was a really bizarre feeling. And I don't normally get like all into the feelings, and it was all really intense, and I don't know if I got that from the Haunted Museum, if I got it from Binions.
But you don't even know if that guy was alive.
No, I don't even know if that was a real person. That's the creepiest part.
Yeah. I mean,
but
we never saw his face.
Your husband saw him on the elevator.
Yes.
But neither one of you could see him in the hallway.
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It was really creepy.
See,
Vegas is creepy after hours.
Yeah, it really is.
One of the creepiest things I had happen to me was it was a living person, I think. Anyway, I got on an elevator at the old Riviera. This is 2002.
Okay.
And rode the elevator. I was coming in from outside. Being honest, I went to one of the strip clubs down the road. And the wife was asleep in the hotel room. So I got on the elevator, was coming up. And this girl jumped on the elevator with me. And very scantily clad. And she pushed the same button. Tried to push the same button I already had, but it was already lit up. So she looked at me. She said, "Are you my client?" And I said, "No, I don't think so. I'm here with my wife. I'd get in trouble." She said, "Well, darn, that's just a shame." So we got off the elevator and went down the hallway a little bit where it split into, left, right. And I went left where my room was, and she went right. She said, "Are you sure you're not my client? I sure do wish you was." And was looking back at me the whole time, kind of almost stumbling down the hallway. And then disappeared further down the hallway. And I just said, okay, maybe it's time I just go to bed. It's 4:00 in the morning. This is Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't normally talk about on paranormal shows because I have no proof whatsoever that was paranormal. But it's weird having a Las Vegas prostitute come on to you in an elevator where she had somewhere else she had to go, but was
at 4 a.m. That's or an early one.
That's a late call. Yeah, or like an early call. And she was perfectly willing that we could have break the elevator between the floors or in the hallway there in the hotel. Let's just do this.
Well, I have a story similar to that in Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah. Well, mine's a little bit different because mine wasn't a prostitute, but we were again at the Excalibur, different time. And 3:00 in the morning, the alarms went off. Okay. Have you ever been in a hotel when the alarms go off in a hotel?
No.
It's freaking horrible. They're so loud.
Yeah.
Just think of the loudest alarm you could ever hear in your life. And then it keeps going, don't panic, blah, blah, blah. Just stay in here or something weird like that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm like on the 26th floor. I'm fucking out of here.
Really?
And so my husband just goes with me because he knows he has to chase after me. I'm gone, So I run out the door and everybody's just standing there looking out their doors like, what should we do? And it's like, you should evacuate. Don't wait for them to tell you what to do. Figure it out. So we can't find the fucking stairs. We found the stairs. We're running down the stairs. Us and one other couple are the only people who would have lived if something happened, because we were bailing down those stairs, right? So we ran 26 floors down the stairs. So we're
wow.
round. Those two people, they were like from Peru or something. They kept up with us. They were like right with us.
Yeah. Oh.
And so we got down the lobby, and I went to the front desk and I said, is something going on? And they said, oh, the alarms just went off, but they fixed it. And I said, why'd they go off? And they said, because dust got in the heater. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. This is what's really like to stay in Las Vegas. And so then I'm like, well, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. And the funny thing is, when I thought like the hotel was going to like fall down or something. So the only thing I grabbed out of all my stuff was my makeup bag.
Well, you got to look good.
And my husband grabbed the car keys, luckily.
There you go.
I was going to have makeup and walk.
Yeah.
So, so we get down the lobby. I asked him, and he's just basically, I got some free stuff though, because I told him off. So then we go to get a cup of coffee, and the Excalibur has this area with like a little food court and stuff, but it's like 3:00 in the morning. So nobody's there. Everything's closed. So they say everything's open in Las Vegas all night. It's not. That's a lie. And so, and there's no people down there at all. Oh. So then this weird guy comes up to us, and he looked like he was like from the 1980s. And he was dressed like a 1980s rapper with like huge gold chains, like a costume. It didn't even look real, but his eyes were all white, like when someone's blind.
Okay.
And he kept trying to get our attention. He kept trying to like go around us. And I kept telling my husband, he's going to rob us. He's going to rob us. We need to get out of here, And so we're like trying to like get out of there and keep an eye on him. And then we left. But I was like, how could he have seen us if his eyes were all like white, like the completely white? And so when I asked him later, I'm all, that I actually did see that, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, was that a ghost that we were talking to, or who was that? You know what I mean? It was just weird.
Yeah. Unless he had those contacts in, you know what I mean?
To make his eyes look all white?
I don't know. You said people are weird there. I've never been to Vegas, so.
They are weird.
Oh, you've never been to Vegas, Sarah?
I have not. I'm not a big drinker or gambler, so I haven't been to Vegas.
There's so much more to do, though.
I'm not a gambler. I lost in 2 visits to Vegas. I lost a total of 75 cents gambling. That's all, because that's all I gambled. I played the quarter slots 3 times in 2 visits.
I do the nickel slots.
I did quarter. I splurged.
Yeah, that'd be splurging for me too. I have a $20 limit. I just lose my $20 and I move along.
And you move along.
I see. See, I didn't even go that far. I spent the 75 cents and that's it.
Or you just go for one and done. If you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. I like that.
That's it. And that was my limit. I'm just not a gambler. I get no thrill out of it. Ghost hunting provides me with all the thrill factor I need. And sometimes I've been in some thrilling places, which is my next question for the 2 of you. You can take turns answering if you want. What was and where was it the most thrilling ghost hunt you ever gotten? Just got the blood pumping. Whether it scared you or whether it was exciting, doesn't matter.
Blood pumping. I don't think I have one location that I would even, again, because I tend to repel them, I don't have those kind of scenarios to deal with, but probably so I do a lot. My sisters we're all over the place. So I have a sister in Buffalo. I have a sister in Austin, Texas. So a lot of my investigations have been around Western New York. So like Hinsdale's supposed to be horribly haunted and evil. Nothing. I mean, I sat in that house by myself going, nothing. We've been to the Western New York or the Buffalo Asylum, which was turned into the Hotel Henry. Slept like a baby. But Iron Island Museum is probably my most, I mean, I guess if I'm going to be freaked out, it was a church, it was a funeral home, and then it's this museum that houses something from a war that America has participated in. And so between, I think, the funeral home and all the artifacts from all the different wars, I would say, that's where we've gotten our most intriguing evidence. But I mean, nothing that's, I don't think you know, for doing this as long as I have, I kind of feel like I'm the lackluster investigator. Like I just don't have that big story, you know, that I'm aware of, or I don't make a big deal out of them. I don't know which way it goes. Yeah, I don't know.
She has ghosts in her house and she doesn't even.
You do too, and you ignore them when they try to get your attention.
Well, if I'm sleeping. I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a spirit like standing there. I saw him not with my eyes, but with like my third eye. And I was like, why is somebody standing there? And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, that's scary, but and then like I went back to sleep.
You're like, I'm tired. So tomorrow.
Because I'm kind of like, you get to a point where you're kind of used to it.
You're comfortable.
You know, and I mean, but as far as being alarmed, I would say not necessarily an investigation, but the thing that got me interested in paranormal like long ago was I lived in a house when I was in my 20s, and the house had been a funeral home at one point, and they moved it across the street. And so the funeral home went from my house to the house across the street, or to a building across the street. And so I always had like weird things go on, but I didn't make too much of it. And we had some friends that would come over, and all these different friends would like have, you know, problems. They would like be afraid of the house. And I never like understood what was going on because they were my husband's friends. And so one night in the middle of the night, and the rumor is that there was a man who walked through our property every night. Now, if I had been into the paranormal, I would have set up a camera, but I wasn't. So I was like, whatever. Sure there is, you know. And so the guy said that he walked across, you know, from one point to another. And so my house was in the way, it would walk right through my house, which we thought was really funny. And so one night I woke up in the middle of the night, and the bed faced like the doorway looking out the living room. And I saw somebody walking around the living room, like a shadow. And so, but we had people sleeping there. So I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was somebody getting up. And then all of a sudden, I saw somebody like more obviously somebody walk past and like freak out. And I was like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, there's somebody walking around the house. I turned the door and they're like freaking out. And I'm like, at the time, I just thought it was him. But now when I look back on it, I'm like, wait a minute. I actually did see something that was like a shadow walking by. And then I saw him and he was more tangible. I guess, you know, he was clearly a person rather than a shadow. And I wish, you know, I don't really want to go back to that house, but I wish that I had been interested in the paranormal at the time, you know, because I could have like really experimented with the idea, because I hear other people say that, you know, there's a residual that walks through the house every night and stuff like that, but no one seems to catch that. And I wonder why that is, you know, which doesn't really answer your question.
Well, that would be a thrill for most people. That get the heart pumping.
Yeah.
My wife had a similar experience. I was on the Rob Hernandez show in the chat room. I was not in the show. He was by himself, I think, or maybe he had his co-host with him. I don't remember. But we were doing, you know, a ghost box session live. And I got kind of bored. They were not saying anything pertinent to me. They were not calling out my name. I had nothing to ask. I was not trying to contact anybody, and I was letting everybody else in the chat room have their fun. You know, I didn't have anything to do with it. I just kind of was watching it, listening to it, and I opened up another tab and was looking at the next spot where the wife wants to go, you know, on a little vacation, maybe in the next couple of years. So I'd never looked at this particular hotel, so I thought I'd take a look at it. So I was looking at it and was looking at a photo of the staircase. This is a 2-story hotel, it does not have an elevator. So I was looking at the staircase, and all of a sudden, in the other tab over the ghost box, all of a sudden you had Lafitte by several different voices. Then there was a staircase. And then they named me 2 or 3 times. And they named a couple of females' names. and they said staircase, fell, hurt, and kept on saying Lafitte. So I went in there. I said, "Who the hell is saying in capital letters?" So Rob would repeat it. Who the hell is saying Lafitte Hotel? And Rob repeated the question, and he had 2 or 3 different voices said, "I am." And then I started looking to do some research about the staircase, and it turns out one of the names that were called out was a little girl who lived in the former mansion that had fallen down the staircase and was injured. She was not killed, she was just injured.
Mhm.
Her mother, that also lived there, later died in the house because the little girl got sick, probably tuberculosis or something like that. You know, this is in New Orleans. So there's a lot of death in New Orleans. And the mother went into the room where the child had died, locked herself in the room, and never came out. She never came out for food or water. And 2 or 3 days they went in there looking for her, and she was dead. Died in the same room in the hotel. And the ghost box had called out both of their names. And we're trying to figure out, Rob, there he was, live show, was speechless for about 15, 20 minutes. Because that was just unbelievable that a spirit was looking, 2 or 3 spirits were looking at my other tab through my computer. He's in California, I'm in Arkansas. And then here comes my poor wife going to the bathroom. And the reason she's going to the bathroom, she quickly informed me of, "Lynn, whatever you're doing, stop it." Because she had woke up with about 3 or 4 spirits standing at the foot of the bed.
Wow. So you guys are magnets.
And she went in and immediately put sea salt around the doorway to keep people out. And they came into the den, which is the opposite end of the house from our bedroom. And we're all gathered at her computer trying to get through the computer so they could go back to where they belong. And I just stepped back. I said, I'll be back. I got ghosts in the house. So I stepped back away from it, stood in the hallway, and said, "Okay, all spirits that's not connected to this house, you got to go." And I got out of their way, and they walked over to where my computer was and jumped through the internet.
Wow.
Interesting.
And I'm just amazed. And when I told Rob about it, we got a psychic friend of mine in there, and she was saying this is absolutely incredible. She also had ghosts. She had to run out of her house from the same thing. Apparently, they jumped into my computer, went into her house, jumped out of her computer, and were, wrong house again. And she had to run them out of her house.
That would go with the theory that some people have about watching TV and thinking they're being haunted by things coming through the TV and listening to different shows. We've had a lot of people. Well, we had Keith Linder on. I had a few people say, I even had some problems, but I had a few people say to me that watching the show, they had some kind of a mild haunting or an incident that they thought was a haunting. So
isn't that interesting that people can get so wrapped up in that? And it does make you wonder, what is the occurrence of something coming through?
Yeah.
So according to some of the research I'm doing with people, the spirits can travel across the internet.
Yeah, well, think about when we interviewed Justin and he was doing the dowsing rods and we were asking questions and he got a knock and he was he was always getting knocks from the spirits in his home when he was getting the knocks. And then I got a knock that we all heard clearly.
Yeah.
So the ghost had jumped here and then we were talking to a spirit that we believe is in my home and he got touched on the arm. So maybe, but do they need, the internet and, electronics haven't always been here. So does that make it more easy for them to travel or have they always been able to?
I think the electronics provide the highway for them to go down.
Maybe.
And they can go, I think they can go from one place to the other and probably near the speed of light. The same speed the signal travels. When I was on on the Ghost Bikers show, Miranda's show. I've got a window. Let me pan over. You see the window here?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that, by the way, that's my co-host, Bones.
I've seen pictures on your website.
But during the show, about 3/4 through the show, I heard a loud tapping on that window, so loud that Miranda heard it. She said, "What is that?" And I said, "That's a tapping." And the very next week, I had another guest on and had another tapping at the window. And there is no limbs anywhere near that window. My septic tank's right out this window. I can't let anything grow there.
What were you guys talking about, though? Like, was there a specific subject that you guys were talking about that would maybe conjure something up?
We were talking ghosts, and apparently I had one knock at the window twice. So, you know, that still may happen. We haven't even got to the second half of the show yet. And both these incidents happened in the second half of the show. So, you know, we may look forward to that. One other time I was on Rob's show, I heard a Native American flute being played. And I heard it through the headphones. And then when I picked them up like this, I could still hear the flute played, even though I can't hear what's going on the headphones right now. Yeah, I could hear it, you know, with my naked ears in the room. You probably haven't seen on a map where I live, but if you look on a map of Arkansas, I live about halfway between Pine Bluff and Monticello, and just outside of Star City, a town of about 2,200 people. I live by the longest bayou in the world, Bayou Bartholomew, and live by a creek, Cane Creek, that flows into the bayou. So I'm half surrounded by water. Plus, they formed by damming up the creek and kind of stopping up the bayou for a little bit, they formed a big fishing lake down here where the two of them merge. And Bayou Bartholomew was used up until about 1905, 1910 for transportation with smaller steamboats.
That's pretty cool.
And this was always been a creek, and the bayou, which Native Americans used as a highway for a lot of trading. So I could be living where I live on a hill, where a Native American village was. They could have lived here on the hill, well away from any kind of flooding, and had their horses right down there, you know, by the bayou where they'd have plenty to eat, and could come up the hill if it, you know, it had a flood.
I'm sure most living in the area where Native Americans lived before.
Do what now?
You know, I'm sure most of us live in areas where Native Americans had lived before, because it was very populated at one time. And so, you know, I would think anywhere you go, there's something from American.
There's something Native American if you open up to it. In Bachelor's Grove, part of the haunting was there was a Native American village about a quarter of a mile behind the cemetery. If you walk across, there's a creek there, and there's a small pond. If you cross the creek and walk a couple hundred yards back in the woods, you're at the spot where a Native American village was.
And the water's a good conduit, right?
And everywhere that I've had major hauntings, there was water. So I have to agree with your statement, Sarah.
Not for me. I'm trying to
think.
No. Well, except for the Queen Mary, but like Vegas, no. And even the Old Town San Diego, that's not really close to the water. Where else? Even the house I lived in, that wasn't nowhere near any water. So it depends. I'm only with the land-loving ghosts.
Except for the water and the pipes going to everybody's house. There had to be a water source for the town somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, how far is the Hoover Dam in Vegas to, like, what's the proximity?
I think it's pretty close.
About an hour drive. An hour.
Okay.
Did you go to Hoover Dam?
No, we were going to, but I think it's a little bit of a drive, but I didn't think it was an hour.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
it's about an hour drive.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, we went on a tour of the Hoover Dam. Our first trip, and the second trip we went up to the Grand Canyon, which is a couple hours away.
So are there hauntings at the Hoover Dam? Like, do people do any kind of investigations
There is
there?
rumor, people have heard knocking because it was always rumored that people who fell into the concrete and were sealed into the concrete,
Yeah.
but that would produce a flaw in the dam itself and could make it crack. So in reality, somebody fell down into the concrete, which was highly protected, so you wouldn't. They were pulled out real quick because you're not going to sink too fast in setting concrete. In time they sprayed it out, they would only add a couple of inches,
right?
And that couple of inches was drying, and you could actually your feet would sink down slightly and make a footprint an hour or two later, but you're not going to sink down into it.
I think a lot of people did die making that dam, though.
Yes, a lot of people died making the dam.
Yeah.
And if you go in the tunnels during a tour, you are in. It's creepy. It's really creepy. So I would have to agree that maybe there's not anybody buried in the concrete, but there is hauntings there. There's people who have also committed suicide there, and that's another sighting they see. People will see a figure where the public's not allowed.
Oh.
And all of a sudden they'll do the Eiffel Tower dive off the Hoover Dam, and so that's actually a thing at Hoover Dam.
Okay.
There's people who actually committed suicide doing it over and over again, maybe stuck in a loop or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe
playing a trick. Yeah. They're just like, look at me. This is where I want it to be.
You have forever.
Yes. Now, one of the creepiest things that ever happened to me that I was asking the question. I was the last investigator to investigate the New Orleans French Quarter Wax Museum. It was closing. Everything was being sold off. So by Sunday, I think there were buyers coming through. Monday, they were cleaning the place out. I was in there on Friday night, Saturday morning, whatever way you want to look at it. By New Orleans time, it was Friday night because that's like going. If you've ever gone to New Orleans, have y'all ever gone to New Orleans?
I haven't been anywhere. It sounds like
it's like Vegas.
Okay.
The bars don't shut down at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and even then you can find a couple of them open. But I was on a tour and had a lot of people, got some evidence, creeped some people out. I converted a skeptic into a believer. I got live evidence where everybody heard it, and he said, "I'm no longer a skeptic." He said, he told the people that doing the tour, "I walked in here a skeptic. I'm walking out a believer." And they still talk about me at the tour group, but they left. I did not know they left. I went to another part of the museum, did not know they left. And suddenly I wanted to go out and said, "Okay, when y'all are ready, turn on the lights when you want me to leave." I realized I was locked into the museum.
Oh.
And talk about being creepy. No lights on except for paranormal lighting. Some IR lights, some UV lights scattered around. And I had a red and green flashlight. And that's all the lighting there was. For 2.5, almost 3 hours, locked in a wax museum by myself.
That'd be creepy.
That'd be cool. But creepy, yeah.
Yeah.
I say that, but I'd be scared.
Yeah.
It was creepy cool. And I was a little bit nervous because I had my Echo Vox going the whole time, and I was constantly conversing with a ghost.
Oh.
So I was never alone, but I had no human company. Everybody else on the tour had left. One guy working for the tour group was there. One guy working at the wax museum was there, and they were in the office playing computer games. paying
Not
no
paying
attention to
attention.
me whatsoever. There was no PA. They weren't listening in on me. There was nothing. They just
Wow.
figured when they heard something banging around, somebody looking for them and screaming, they would stop what they were doing, and they finally did. When I said, "What time you want to leave?" and they said, "Well, we need to be out of here by 5 o'clock." I said, "Okay."
Mm.
Turn on the lights after 4, and they come in there and got me, and I finally got out of there about 5:30.
Wow.
That was creepy. And the evidence I got was even creepier.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't like to get locked in, not because of spirits, but because I'd be afraid of like fire or whatever, you know, like natural problems. But it's a good opportunity to investigate.
Yes.
I'd be taking a lot of pictures and video or calling someone.
I read video until my batteries ran down.
Oh, okay.
I had 2 cameras. I would shoot one for a while, go to the other one, recharge a battery because I had to recharge it with me. I had electricity in the building, so I'd recharge a battery and get the other camera back started up and start filming. So I had hours and hours of video out of that place.
Wow.
A lot of scary pictures too.
Yeah.
But that was an amazing investigation. Y'all need to get down to New Orleans.
Yeah, I would like to. That's on my list.
So many places to go.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
I know.
and I feel like now, like kind of all these cool networks that are out there going to these locations, there's, you know, places you didn't even know existed now are kind of booming. And so there's just, you know, I'd like to spend some time on the East Coast. I definitely Gettysburg. That's something Dede and I really want to work on doing together. You know, Gettysburg, I would love to go to South Carolina. I mean, there are just so many amazing places to check out. I mean, there's tons of places in Texas. I grew up there, and I mean, that state, that could take you could do a full freaking year. And, you know,
for sure.
Start going to all the different places. So, and California's got great places to check out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of this town. It's on my bucket list. It's an old mansion down in southeast Texas. In fact, it's not too far from here. So why I want to go there. It's only about less than 100 miles from where I'm sitting.
Okay.
But over in Texas, and it has a room where a lady committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And they have several other ghosts in this over 100-year-old hotel.
It's okay. Is it I think, is it? Now I'm not going to be able to remember because I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, we ran over past halftime, and I've got to run a commercial for that Paracon that's this weekend. This will be my last chance to run this commercial. So, can you ladies pardon me while I run the commercial for this Paracon for the last time?
Awesome.
I don't have a new commercial for next week, but I have to run this thing this week. So here we go.
Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Rochester Winter Parafest is back, March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. Come say hi to Naked and Afraid celebrities Melanie Elizabeth and Trent Nielsen, Haunted Case Files Jack Kenna, Monster Quest Steve Coles, and more. This event has it all: paranormal investigators, UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, and even photo opportunities for the kids with Buddy the Bigfoot. Oh, okay, adults too. Come on down and get a tattoo from Ink Master Tony DeVille. There are psychic gallery and individual readings, as well as radio personalities, authors, jewelry, makeup artists, and so much more. It's only $15 per person, and children under 10 are free. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. For more information, go to WLFE-DB.com. Yes, Winter Parafest is back. Valley Oak Event Center, Geneseo, New York, next to Denny's.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah, good job. Oh.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.
Okay, we are back. I'm showing a picture in the center. I'm sorry, but Sarah's gone now, or at least she's hidden. But this is a lineup of guests that they're having at the Rochester Paracon this weekend. And that is a lot of guests for $15. You can go talk to Buddy the Bigfoot. He's a really nice gentleman. He gets into character. He does not talk. You can talk to him. You can pose with him. You're not going to get him to talk. But he puts on a good show. He's really good with the kids. And you see the outstanding guests they're going to have. I wish I could go. That would be fun. I could probably sit in with just Cindy, which is Psychic Cindy. She works with here on the network. She's a very good psychic. She was my guest last week, which is interesting on St. Patty's Day, especially considering she's about half Irish. So that was a good time for 2 hours and 40 minutes last week.
I watched her show too.
Oh, okay. Cindy is an outstanding personality too. Very nice person. But she's going to be there as, have her own table. WLFE is going to have their table. And it's for a good cause, $15. That's a lot of guests. That's a lot to do over a weekend. I think it's $15 a day, and I believe it's $20 or $25 for the whole weekend. So if you're in the Rochester, New York area, get up and go. Sorry, I can't be there. Too far for me to walk, and the bayou doesn't go in that direction. So I can't get in my canoe.
Do you know who I think is there, Dede? I think Christy London is doing an appearance there as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we had her on the show, and I think I saw her advertising for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Oh,
How come there's no Paracons in California? I want to know. The only thing there is, what there is that will probably go to is the Midsummer Scream. And we went to that in 2019, and it's great for photo ops. Like they have, Sarah's probably seen all my pictures, but it's you name it, a horror movie, and they've got a display that you can pose with and stuff. So it's really fun. And I noticed there were paranormal teams there and stuff like that, but it's not a Paracon. It's more like a horror fest, which I'm going to go anyways because it's coming up, and that's my only option. I just want to know, what is the story with no, Southern California Paracons? Why is everything on the East Coast?
It could be mask mandates. I'm not sure, but you're right.
No, I mean
Paracons,
ever.
Paracons seem to be kind of an East Coast phenomenon. The one down here in Arkansas is kind of small. They have a small one in Texas. I'm actually going to have a guest next month talking about a Paracon in Texas next month. So, Dede, while we're talking Paracons, if you get in contact with that Paracon, send them to my Facebook page and tell them if they want to run a 30-second commercial. I'll be glad to run the commercial for a few weeks up to the Paracon. And since my show is just getting started, I don't have that huge of an audience yet. I'll run it free of charge for them.
Don't you have a lot of UFO though? Sort of. I mean, you'd probably have to go to maybe Nevada or Arizona. I feel like there's New Mexico has some Paracons. I believe.
I want to go to the one I forget what it's called, but it's a UFO. It's the one that Miranda and Chris went to for the UFOs, right? Is that the big one? Is that the one they went to? There's one in New Mexico that I really want to go to.
New Mexico,
And
yeah.
I think there might be one in the desert in California, but because of COVID, everything's been all screwed up. So I take that back. I guess there's, but that's not really a Paracon, but it's a UFO.
UFO-a-thon.
Yeah. I'd like to go to that.
But probably a need. Like I'm sure, like Michigan has a really big, the Michigan Paracon that's up in the UP. You know, they get a lot of big names.
I think they do. I think they do. Chicago, the lady who ran a Paracon up in Chicago in October for so many years. I'm not going to say what went on with her, but she's not really doing it anymore.
Yeah.
She had, so let's just say, some personal issues and drop it. But somebody now is trying to. One guy tried to get another Paracon started there. I think he struggled a little bit. Somebody may have taken it over from him, and they're trying to get a Paracon back in Chicago. There was no reason for Chicago not to have a large Paracon. The one in Little Rock is in October, and I haven't been in contact with them because they have not had it in 2 years because of COVID. So I'm going to be in contact with them, and maybe I'll do the same thing with them. I'll run a few ads for them. Right now, I do it free. No, maybe next year I got some more listeners. You don't do stuff for free when you're really good at it, and I'm not really good at this right now. My show's only I've only done one a week for the past maybe 6-8 weeks. So figure.
Yeah, it takes a while to get into your groove. Yeah. Sarah and I, we started Paranormally Blonde about what?
It was over a year ago.
Yeah, it's about 14 months maybe. But then we were on a show before that. When we first started just doing a podcast,
you got to start
go
somewhere
back and watch and see.
Is it fun to go back and watch? Because I sounded like I was doing school reports.
Oh wow.
And now, it's like we were only doing audio, which was really hard for me.
So we couldn't even see each other.
Yeah. I like begged the girls, like, can we just do a video? Let's just do one. Let's just do one video. And then it just kind of stuck,
And I remember it was a mukbang.
It was. Yeah, we were eating. Nothing like watching three chicks eating.
Talking ghosts.
That's right. You just have to try anything. It's all good, right?
But
I just jumped in. I did not do a podcast. I did not go audio only. I jumped straight into this show where it's done live on Facebook and YouTube, and then goes automatically to iHeart as audio, and then goes to all the podcast affiliates. And that's what WLFE has done for me. It's just let me go in here and have 2 hours to myself, do what I want to do with it. So they've been really good to me. Ted, he runs it. It was his voice talking to Buddy when he was laughing. It was him shooting that video. Of Buddy being at the Paracon, with the child saying, good job, Buddy. And when he dunked the guy, that was Ted's voice. That's, I guess, my quotation boss. He's the one that owns WLFE.
Nice.
But he's been real nice to me. He's just let me just do what I want to do. And now that I'm really late night, just, go as far as I want to go with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of freedom in doing your own thing like that. Yeah.
It is. It's a tremendous amount of fun. And I'm assuming the two of y'all are really having fun.
Yeah.
With your show.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I think Dede and I really found our groove, when we started Paranormally Blonde. Our first show was a little bit less serious. Not that we're super serious now, but it was definitely more, I don't even know if I would call it. I mean, it was paranormal, but
it was paranormal, but with a comedy edge.
Yeah. When we decided to move forward with just Dede and I, we both were kind of excited to say, like, we want to explore the little bit more serious side. And I think what's really great, as we're both investigators, but being host of a show, I think it's really opened us up to everybody involved in paranormal. So we're not really we're not like pigeonholed into like a territory or region. We talk to people from coast to coast, and in all areas. I mean, like we stated in our show bio, people who are clothing designers, jewelry designers, equipment creators, content creators, investigators, demonologists, psychics. I mean, if you're in paranormal, we want to know you. I mean, this isn't just the famous people. These are not just the people who are out there, and no disrespect to them, right? Like, we give them cred, like, hey, you guys are out there and you're killing it. But you know what? There's hundreds of thousands of people out there that don't have a name behind them that are doing some really incredible things. And I think we've had a really great opportunity to meet everybody. And that's just been like an honor for me to just meet everybody involved, and not just those same 5 people that you hear about every time, So
that's what I'm trying to do. My first show was actually Dale Kazmarek from Gross Research Society, i.e. the one who had, the picture. He has still his copyright. And that was a serious show. Dale he's like a school teacher. He knows Gettysburg. You said you'd like to go to Gettysburg. If you ever went there with Dale Kazmarek, you would get a Gettysburg education, because he could tell you just about blow by blow how the battle was fought and where it was fought. He's a very amazing man. You might want to follow him, on Facebook. He's there, Dale Kazmarek, Ghost Research Society. Occasionally he goes on live and talking, but he's not funny.
Does he know this?
Yes, he knows this. He knows this. You two are just funny.
We think we are.
It was a real honor talking with y'all. This has been fabulous. I like to have fun. I tell people that they'll be all nervous. They say, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to do? Cindy was like this last week. She did not know how I ran my show. And I said, look, as a kid, I watched Johnny Carson. And I run my show like I'm Johnny Carson. I'll tell a funny story. We'll laugh, but I want to ask questions, get the guests to talk. And that's how I run my show. And that's how I'm kind of getting the two of y'all run y'all's show.
I think we have a nice niche in the fact that, and I always use this description. It's like we go out and we network. And so it's a little bit like online dating. We find who matches, and then we get together for our coffee and we talk. And I think that I will say, I think the best part of doing the show, my favorite thing has been, I can't imagine maybe one guest. I don't even think that's true. I think every single one of them after the fact have always been like, you know what, that was a lot of fun. I was very comfortable. So it's not this, listen, we're not National Geographic. We want to get to know the people that are in paranormal, not just, everybody's on social media. We've got YouTubes, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram. We're always showcasing our evidence. We're always showcasing our catches and what we do, our superstar moment. But we want to get to know them. We want to get to know the personal stuff. We want to know why you're not just like what got you started, but like, I don't know, we always go off into some really cool areas, and people have been very open and very, excited to share something a little bit more than I think they've ever really had the opportunity to do on other shows. So it is just joining our little circle of friends for a coffee and a donut, and like, let's talk and, see where it goes from there. So,
Sometimes, like last week, I kind of do it like Johnny Carson did it once in a while. Since it was St. Patty's Day, I was here during the show. I drank 2 or 3 shots of New Orleans rum. I can't drink coffee. This blue cup here is sweet tea.
Oh, there you go. Iced tea. You just got it straight up tea here.
I'm just doing water.
Now my other cup is water. My kind of Halloween, my kind of ghosty cup. He's got a nice little skeleton there. That's water. So that's how I kind of do the show.
This is the paranormal version of that red party cup. See?
Uh-oh.
Oh, I see. Okay. But another place y'all might want to go to. You ever heard of Oakville, Illinois?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
If
so
Michael's still on, I wonder if he's heard of that.
he can answer that real quick if he wants to. The last thing he said in there was drink.
Yeah, that's because I was covered up. That's a joke.
Yeah. In
Yes.
our show, when Sarah goes
Missing. When I go missing, everybody has to take a drink. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like when I put the banner for the Paracon up, you were gone.
Yeah, that's why he said drink.
Yeah,
There's
yep.
Michael. Okay.
Yep, she's still there. But if you got any questions, Michael, feel free to just go ahead and say anything, ask anything you want to. But Oakville has the original Mineral Springs hotel in it.
Okay.
Now there's another one in Alton, Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
that has what they call the original Mineral Springs Hotel. People get them confused. Alton has a cemetery there, and they're not really active hotel. Oakville is an open, active hotel. And they have, I discovered they have two ladies that haunt that area there. And I was entertaining one in one of the rooms. She was right there with me. And I did not know this until I was editing the video. And the wife looks at me. She said, "Where's the ghost you were talking to?" I said, "Standing right in front of me." She said, "Well, who's that in the background?" And here's a woman in a Belle period dress.
Oh.
There was an L-shaped hallway. The camera's pointing right down the bottom of the L. Whoops. Lost Dede.
What are we gonna do when Dede goes? Uh-oh.
Device is not connected, so I don't know what happened to her in there. But she'd walked out from the top of the L to where the camera could see her.
Okay.
Stood there for some minutes, looking at the other ghost talking to me.
She come back?
And she should be back now. Michael says drink again.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dede's turn.
I think you haven't drank twice if I disappear.
That's right.
It's an unusual, although lately it seems like
But,
this has been happening to me.
Yeah.
But she also, the next day, the lady was investigating. That morning, we talked to spirits till about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And we went down to the hot tubs. We ate breakfast, hit the hot tubs because we've been up all night. And they've got where you actually sit in mineral water. It's very soothing. It really helps arthritis if you got it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in there, and right through the door, they had it looked like the stalls are made like bathroom stalls.
Okay.
In a large room. And the wife is in the one next door. But here come this female spirit walking through the door, the one that I was talking to the night just a few hours before, and stood there. And I thanked her for making an appearance and speaking with me a little bit. And she nodded her head. And I said, but there's one thing. I'm naked. Because I was laying in the tub. She nodded her head, kind of smiled, turned and walked right through the locked door. So that's another place you may want to visit, and visit it for a couple of nights, because and bring your husband, Dede, because he can sit there and take some mineral baths for a couple of days straight. They've also got it.
That's it from a lady.
Sarah has lost it.
Oh.
All right, Sarah, you're all red faced there now.
Oh, part of that's menopause and part of that's free. Oh, I'm sure your husband will love that.
I don't know what your husband would say if some ghost lady walks through the door when he's naked in a mineral water bath.
Oh my! You won't know until you try. So,
And yeah, true. And she left a strong jasmine odor, and where the tubs were. To the other lady that I was investigating, she was across the room in her own personal hot tub, and she was asking the person attending what she cleaned the tubs with. Figuring some kind of jasmine spray she was spraying on there, out to everybody. And she said, "One, you're the first customers we've had today." It was a Sunday morning. And said, "Nobody's been here, so I hadn't had to clean any tubs out at all."
Mm-hmm.
And we don't use perfumed cleaner. Even when we do clean them out, and I hadn't cleaned one out. There hadn't been anyone cleaned out since yesterday afternoon. She said, "But you smell jasmine, right?" She said, "Yeah, jasmine." And my wife agreed. She said, "Yeah, it was jasmine that I was smelling." She said, "The lady who is there that was married to one of the owners of the hotel suffered horribly from arthritis, and it cured her. The mineral baths cured her, and she tends to people in the bathroom. When I say bathroom, it sounds like I'm saying one thing like a bathroom in a hotel or whatever." This is their huge room they have with all these bathtubs there, so you can take the mineral springs water and bathe in it. And apparently this woman tends to people there and leaves a jasmine scent. So if you go there, beware the jasmine scent. And if your husband smells that, it says, "I smell jasmine," give him a camera or something and say, "Turn this camera on. Don't turn it on yourself. Nobody wants to see that."
Sounding kind of personal now. I don't know if you should be taking any kind of pictures.
What the key is, if you're naked, don't show yourself on camera.
Is that the key? That's the key.
That's the key.
I'm glad.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
You don't do like they do, like a lot of people on YouTube does, where they got the phone and a little bracket holding it in front of them like this, and you see them all the time. The ghost hunter turned down the other way and is looking for a ghost to get on camera. They could care less if they get on camera or not. That's the way I am. I keep a camera on my hand, a little camcorder on my hand, and I'm showing everything but me.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the difference between like urban explorers, where they show their reactions all the time, and it's about them being in a scary place versus looking for spirits.
Oh, so that's why I'm not finding ghosts.
Yes.
Because you gotta have a camera.
My investigations are way different than Ghost Adventures. Ghost Adventures, they show the stars all the time, and not too much what's going on.
Right.
You don't see me. I try not to even talk about that much because I'm waiting for some kind of sound.
Yeah.
And if I got a ghost box or echo box or whatever going, I want the people, the microphone on the camera to pick that up.
Right.
Not anything I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's time to try it a different way then. I will. I still need to hire somebody. I think I can't. I'm. There's too much going on. I mean, I think it's a talent if you're an investigator and you can film. I did have the pleasure to investigate with Chris Sumner of Soul Sisters and Miranda of Ghost Biker, and to watch them. They take their video, but a lot of, you have to set up, I don't even know how many cameras between the two teams. They had so many cameras set up, static cameras set up, because, you've got so many different pieces of equipment going, and you don't know when you're walking through a location what's going to suddenly catch your attention. So I think it's hard to film. I mean, you almost just have to say, like, I need somebody to film, yes, be into paranormal, but don't, like, I need you to be really just camera focused, right? And make sure to follow me around and, check out the entire surroundings. I think that's a talent. I don't think that's an easy job.
No, it's not.
I wish I had somebody follow me around like that, but I don't. I have to do it all myself.
Yeah. Well, it's probably costly. Can you imagine what somebody would charge?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was a sports photographer. I did sports photography for a couple of roller derby teams in Chicago. Plus, I did a lot of photo shoots with fitness girls and bodybuilders. And Michael, yes, I do have a GoPro. It's one of these cameras. They're called full spectrum cameras, but they're not true full spectrum. All they've had is somebody go in there with a screwdriver and take out the IR filter and take out the UV filter, so that your camera produces a light similar to what you see over my head.
Okay. For
some reason, the camera that my wife bought me, it's a combination microphone and camera that you see me with, picks up a lot of IR light. I am in darkness. The only light you see on my face is because of the screen, the white screen. That's why you see my hands so bright. This is a pretty dark room because all I've got is some overhead UVs going. So these bulbs were supposed to be UV bulbs, but I think they got mixed up. I bought them during Halloween because all we got here is Dollar General and Family Dollar. We don't even have a Walmart here. Yeah. 2,200 people. That's a town several miles away. But they throw out a lot of IR light. I kept them because, they produce an interesting pink light, which is similar to what I use with the so-called full spectrum camera. And that's what I do with. I do have the night shot, bigger video camera that's green, that puts out the IR light that comes out green. The 2 camcorders I have are full spectrum, so it comes out pink. Michael asked if you use GoPro. Yes, I do have a GoPro, and it's been adapted to where it's had the filters removed, and it's a so-called quote unquote full spectrum camera. So yeah, I had to set all those up and all by myself, and had to shoot. And you want to be around a camera when you're shooting, even if you're going to sit there and run for a couple of hours. But it makes editing a headache because if you got, say, 4 cameras and you shot, say, 3 hours of video, with four different cameras, do the math.
Yeah, I can't.
That I'm still going through stuff.
Yes, I am too. I need to get off my butt. I'm not the best editor in the world, but being a one-man group down here, I've got to do the editing or never will get done. I've got to go in there and re-edit so many of my investigations. It's one of my fallacies because I've got to learn Nero or one of these other editing programs. I can.
It's a lot of work.
Stuff on YouTube. It is a huge amount of work, and Sarah, that's where you're blessed to have your sisters can at least help you out editing stuff.
No, I gotta be honest with you. We haven't even gone through. We've been doing this for over 20 years. I can promise you, we are probably missing all sorts of things. We're kind of in the moment. You know what? Our team really should be called In the Moment Paranormal because it's like
I like that.
We do it. We have fun. We like listen back right then. Like, if you do a couple of, we've learned to cut our EVP sessions down from, 4 hours to like 15 minutes at a time. And you listen right away and then you move on. And once it's not that unless I'm doing a home investigation, the reality is we're just in that moment enjoying our time together, the exploration, the self-discoveries, the history, sometimes the architecture, right? So I'm not really in the game to maybe share what we do. And the other thing is I think, I don't know, there's so many people out there doing it amazing and we have fun just doing it. So
that's almost better.
I got to almost get rid of all our t-shirts now and make In the Moment Paranormal.
I love that.
A new thing. I'm the boss, so they're going to have to go with it.
Yeah.
That's it. I call myself having a paranormal group. It's in my name, CARC, Paranormal, which stands for Southeast Arkansas. Everything around here is Southeast Arkansas. University down at Monticello, so they're CARC University, and I just call myself CARC Paranormal Society, Southeast Arkansas. That's it. And I'm a group of one. Yeah. Because there's just nobody down here that wants to be serious about it. A friend of mine, Alan Lowe, out of Little Rock, just before I came down here 6 years ago, he pretty well ended his paranormal group because he couldn't keep anybody in his group. They would come and go. You'd have the thrill seekers. They'd want to go in there and get scared and would not do any, editing or helping out whatsoever. A couple of groups I was involved with Chicago, same deal. Thrill seekers, they'd want to hear a good story. And they would only go on the scary investigations. The daytime investigation, you couldn't hardly drag them out.
Right. Pardon me.
Bachelor's Grove got a few people out during the day because you couldn't get in there at night. You didn't have any other choice. Although I'm one person who spent the night in there on a technicality. I'm not going to go into explanation of that, but the wife dropped me off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and picked me back up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Sometimes you just do what you do.
And I was in a cemetery alone for that long.
Wow.
A paranormal group of 4 actually came in there at 1 o'clock in the morning to look around. So they'd never been there, didn't know much of the history. So I gave them an hour-long tour of the place. I did tours there myself, free tours. Took them around, gave them a little history, who's buried here, what's the story, what's the paranormal story, da-da-da. I gave them the whole tour. And, other than that 1 hour they were there, I was there by myself all night long with no moon.
And a lot of activity, or?
I was never alone, but they didn't bother me.
Okay.
You got what you were looking for in there. If you went in there, there's people saw hangman's nooses. If you go in there looking for a hangman's noose, you're going to see one.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in there looking for the devil dog, which is something else some people saw, you're going to find one.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go in there, if you go in there looking for some kind of shadow figures or some terrifying, menacing form, you saw that. The caretaker would appear once in a while. So people saw a tall shadow figure. You would see that if you went looking for it at night. They did not want people in there at night. Now, what they gave me to see if I would run scared or anything, they always test you. They were constantly testing you there. I went in there feeling fine, and then all of a sudden, the stomach started feeling queasy, and Sarah's going to crack up on this again. What they gave me for about 2 or 3 minutes was projectile diarrhea.
Why would I laugh at that? I mean, I am now.
While we were in the cemetery?
Yes. Sarah's gone.
Well, that's a real problem.
I mean, 6 feet behind me before it hit the ground.
Oh, okay.
So
as soon as I was over it, I was fine. I was fine the rest of the night.
The person who came by the next day was.
Actually, I did that in a small ditch that was there.
The true tales of ghost hunting behind the scenes.
A couple of coyotes that came by at 7 o'clock didn't appreciate it.
So now, do you
poo and normal?
That's right. Do you like pack wipes now by chance, or do you just?
I keep a roll of paper towels in my backpack. No matter where I'm going to go something, there's a roll of paper towels in my backpack.
Oh, yep. You know, another good product to keep in your bag is Hercules poop spray. So that way nobody knows. Oh, well, listen, you know what? Here's the thing. You gotta go.
That was my favorite paranormal story now.
You gotta go.
No shame in the game. I mean, sometimes you just gotta go. So
that's it.
There you go.
Have y'all ever, either one of you, ever investigated some of the old gangland members for y'all near?
What do you mean?
Gangland, gangs, the old criminal gangs from the 20s.
Yeah, the Binions. Binions is all mobsters. Are we talking about mobsters?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah, that's what Binions was. That if you notice the guy's name Clark, which would have been
right.
Yeah.
Did you make any contact with any gangsters?
Well, I don't know. Somebody followed me home.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a famous gangster, but I'm sure he'd like to think so. I had a Carly what is it?
The Village
Tarot Witch. She read she was reading my dolls because I have some dolls with that are haunted. And so she ended up picking up on Clark. And she said that he was a big deal and was, famous, and he was a ladies' man and all that. But we didn't get like a last name. But I mean, he may have been a big deal in his time, but fame fades. So
yeah. In my community, there is a street. I live in something that's called Grosse Pointe. There's 5 points. And Grosse Pointe Park, there is 3 Mile Road, and that is where a lot of the mob families from Detroit lived. And so there's the tunnels connecting the homes. These homes are at least 100 years old, some a little older. And I know there are great stories of hauntings, but these are things that when you go into people's personal homes, that stuff doesn't happen on command. They can give me their stories, but I'm just there to listen and to just kind of maybe help validate that these things can and do happen. But as far as, I mean, you're talking, I'm like a town that borders Detroit. I mean, we have all the stories of, all the mobs, and, I don't, it's not something that I really focus on, but I mean, I guess maybe I should, but I just don't.
I kind of had to. Al Capone does not like me.
Oh.
Mainly because one of the places I investigated, I dug up maybe a bad word in paranormal, but depends. I found Bruno Rodi, and nobody's ever heard of him. There should be a movie on this man, definitely a book, but a lot of it's been shoved under the rug. He was the head of the Black Hands gang in Chicago when Al Capone was in New York. And when he was sent to Chicago, he took over Bruno Rodi's gang. And the reason they call it the Black Hands mob is because they would help Italian immigrants get jobs, but then they'd take a percentage of their money they were getting paid, for getting them the job. And if you didn't pay them the money, then you found out what Black Hands meant, because you had a black hand on your nose, or they'd break an arm or a leg or something. And that's what the Black Hands meant. And Bruno Rodi was also one of Al Capone's 2 bomb men. He would set bombs in cars or blow up buildings or whatever. He made a nice living threatening. He would put bombs on some of the richest people in Chicago's house, and then call them up and say, if you call the police and don't give me the money, your house is going to get blown up. And he was asking for thousands of dollars back in the 1920s to stop himself from blowing up people's homes. He finally got caught and did a little time for it. They called it extortion. But he was one of Al Capone's main men. And I kind of calmed him down. He was haunting the mortuary where his funeral was, which strangely enough was about 3 weeks before I was born, was when his funeral was. Back in 1956. He died in June. I was born in July. And it was a very highly attended place, but it turned into the mortuary was there for about 90 years. Then it became a bar, and I spent a lot of time investigating that bar. And I asked y'all where the most shocking place was that y'all had gone to. That was one of the most shocking places I did, because I was in the cold room where Bruno hung out, and he knocked the hat off my head so hard that I heard the slap. I felt the wind on my face with his hand going by, heard the impact of him hitting the lower rim of my hat, and the hat landed about 3 feet behind me.
That's kind of cool.
That was a shocker.
Yeah.
And I've got video. That this is one time I was actually investigating with somebody, but the dummy didn't even have the camera on. Had a one of those heat cameras to register heat, and he saw the whole thing, but didn't have the camera running. That's why I quit investigating with him. But I did have the camera on my camcorder on my hand running, and you can see the camera starting to go crazy when I get impacted. But neither one of y'all have ever had anything like that happen. You ever been attacked while you were filming?
I've never been attacked.
No, never.
I'm trying to think. I mean, mostly everything's been positive. I've had visitation by spirit at sleep and stuff, and I don't know where they're coming from, but not during an investigation.
No, never had anything negative.
I mean, I guess you could say the Binions was a negative experience, but I wouldn't
imagine.
I thought it was interesting. You know, it wasn't pleasant, but I didn't feel personally attacked. I felt like I was standing in a space where possibly a spirit was already standing and I needed to get out of his way.
Oh, yeah. That kind of feeling will make you move.
Yeah. And that's what it did.
Yeah, I'll be investigating Al Capone again in a future investigation because Al Capone used to spend a lot of time in Hot Springs, which is about 40 miles south of Little Rock. It's a big resort area, has a lot of the mineral spring soaking tubs locations, and the mob used to come down here and meet all the time. Al Capone came here quite often to Hot Springs, Arkansas. One restaurant actually has a figure. They hesitate to call it a statue because I think it's fiberglass. They had it sit out in front of their place, but it kept getting stolen. So they moved it to the inside. And I'm going to go down there and eat in their restaurant and see if I can strike up a conversation with Al.
Okay,
I've
why not?
spoken once or twice. He's not a nice guy. I know a psychic. The psychic and Al Capone have a near hatred for each other because he comes to her house and bugs her, asking all kinds of interesting questions I'm not going to go into.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
I had we stayed in a hotel in San Diego. It's called the Horton Grand Plaza, and Wyatt Earp was rumored to have stayed in. There's two hotels that were in separate places, and they put them together. And one was a brothel, and one was a hotel. They put them together, and they're absolutely beautiful. But he had stayed there, so when we were going there, I decided, well, I'll try to contact Wyatt Earp. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
And yeah. And so we had a couple of things happen. The first thing was our TV, we went to try to watch TV, and every single show like had the wavy lines through it. And I mean, it's supposed to be cable. So everything that's supposed to happen. And it was like, like the old TVs we used to watch. It was doing that. And so we kept changing channel and finally stopped on Tombstone, and it was perfect. Okay. So that was the first thing that happened. And then, God, I can't remember what the second thing was, but I was doing a spirit box session. And while I was asking questions, the name Wyatt came through, and it was a man. He said Wyatt, like he had that accent. And when I was doing a spirit box session with one of my dolls, like probably a good year later, that same voice responded to me. And that was in San Diego, and I'm 80 miles away from there. So it's not radio interference. And it was the same voice who responded to me. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Could I be being haunted by Wyatt Earp? Because that would be very cool.
Yeah, right.
Was he calling? He was calling out Wyatt's name, right?
Well, that's true. The guy said Wyatt. Yeah.
Did he kind of say it Southern sound, kind of like I do, Wyatt?
Oh, yeah. He had a heavy accent. Yeah.
Was Southern like
mine? I have it on my YouTube channel.
Okay. Like I said, was it Southern kind of like mine?
I can't identify accents. I just know it wasn't California. It was like a cowboy or whatever. I call anything that's not California to me as an accent. So everybody has an accent to me.
Wyatt is a kind of a unique pronunciation. A lot of people say Wyatt, and it sounds like they said wide. Some people.
Wyatt. Wyatt.
A Southerner will say pronunciation is Wyatt.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he dragged it.
Make it two syllables, Wyatt, something like that. The reason I asked that is because Doc Holliday and I were born about 100 some odd years apart and only 75 miles apart. I was born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. He was born and raised in Griffin, Georgia, during his younger years. And before his mother died, they moved down to Valdosta, Georgia, which is about maybe 30 miles from Columbus. So my accent and Doc Holliday's accent sounds a lot alike.
Huh.
If I played Doc Holliday in a movie, of course I'm way too old, but because he died at 35, 37, somewhere on there. And our accents are supposedly nearly identical.
Huh. Well, you'll have to go and listen to it and tell me if that sounds like that accent to you.
Because when you say Wyatt, that sounds very Southern. It sounds like somebody from Georgia dragging it out like we do so many words.
Yeah.
So that you may have had Doc Holliday in the room with you.
That would be cool too.
Well, of course, he cannot give you tuberculosis from a ghost. I don't believe that's communicable. Hopefully, we've been all immunized against that now.
Yeah,
but,
against tuberculosis, I certainly hope so.
Yes. So you could have been talking to Doc. Doc was an interesting personality, a dentist by trade, highly educated. Went to New York schools to get dentistry. But his mother died of tuberculosis, and he apparently caught it from her. So they told him to go out west. Maybe he would live a little bit longer and get some of the moisture out of his lungs. And that's eventually down in Texas is where he met Wyatt Earp.
Yeah. It's an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's very interesting. And the fact that Wyatt is, of course, his family was in California when he basically got run out of Tombstone, and he could not go back there because he had an outstanding warrant for him and his brothers. So, and Doc had gone up to Colorado and died in a hotel.
Mm.
Of course, it didn't have any hospitals set up for tuberculosis patients, and he died in a hotel. Now, Carol Hernandez, he's somebody who was on Rob Hernandez's page on me last night. She's a nice person. He asked you a question, Dede. What's the name of your page?
Your YouTube.
Oh God, it's really hard to. It's Illusions from the Side of the Road. But if you go to our Paranormally Blonde link tree, it's in there. It'll say Dede's YouTube or Dede's something.
Is that the correct address I've got going across the bottom of the screen?
Paranormally Blonde. Yeah. If you go to that link tree, it's in there. It'll say Dede's. It might say Dede's team page, or you'll find my YouTube if you go in there.
Yeah. Everything's in there.
Yeah. And it's I think it'll be titled like the Horton Grand Hotel, or I think I might have mentioned Wyatt Earp. I'm not sure, but you'll find it. I don't have that many videos. There's only like
watch them all. Watch them all.
Watch them all. Yeah,
watch them all.
Give me a like, subscribe.
That's right.
Yes, like, share, subscribe.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. She thanked you for that. So thank you for asking that question, Carol. That's what we're all here for. Answer questions. Now, it's about time to go. I don't know. We don't have to end the show. That's up to y'all. If y'all have got somewhere y'all got to go, like bed.
Oh, my son's going to be home anytime now, and he's autistic. So.
Oh, yeah. So you need to be off. And
I'll have to check out.
I understand that. But let's go over again every place both of you can be found, because people will be looking for you. You're two popular ladies. You're very intelligent. You're very outspoken. I've loved having you as guests.
Thank you.
So please tell everybody where they can reach you.
Well, we have our YouTube channel, Paranormally Blonde, which if you just Google Paranormally Blonde, you're probably going to find us everywhere. You can use that link tree. We're on KUNX Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time live every Monday. So if you come there on a Monday, you can chat with us and ask questions of our guests. We have all kinds of amazing guests lined up. Sarah could tell you our next couple guest.
Yeah, we're actually excited. I've got James Lady, who is local here in Michigan. He's actually in my neighborhood, and so excited that I found another like paranormal person right here.
Yeah.
And he's a Bigfoot researcher, and he has something called the Michigan Aboriginal Project. And so we're going to talk to him. And then the following week, we have Dustin Ryan Crawley, and he's a demonologist. So, and he's a young guy. So I think, it will be very interesting to talk to somebody younger that's kind of devoted their time and their talent to demonology. So I think it's UNX is the YouTube that you can find us live. Like Dede said, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then we always replay on Paranormally Blonde YouTube. Right. And then any little extra, sometimes if we want to go over 55 minutes and our guest wants to join, we're going to do after parties on our YouTube. You can find Paranormally Blonde on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and then we do have a couple of our own private things on the link tree as well. Dede's Illusion from the Side of the Road and VP Paranormal, which is my team, but I don't post a lot of stuff because we're going to change it to In the Moment Paranormal. So I have nothing to share.
All right. Well, I do appreciate y'all having. Anything else you want to say? Anything else you'd like to say, Michael or?
Well, Michael, thank you. I know, thank you, and I do know Miranda had popped on, and she was watching us too. So thank you so much, Miranda, for hanging out with us, and thank you, Len, for giving us this opportunity to come hang out with you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, I have had a ball, and Miranda, I'm glad she stopped in. She is a great person that I'm looking forward to working with in the future, and. I'm developing a lot of interesting friendships across the country, and I'm glad to add the two of you to that list.
Oh, well, thank you. We're happy to have you join our circle as well.
So I've got your like, share, and subscribe to your page. So I see y'all when y'all pop up. I got the little bell, so I get the notice that we're on. So you're on. That's Eastern time, right? 7 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how long's your show?
It is just an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Just an hour. Yep.
Yeah.
I've got to keep this going for 2 hours. Of course, I did that to myself. Ted asked, you want an hour show, right? And I said, no, because the people I talk to have got more to talk about than we're going to cover in an hour.
Yeah.
I said, plus I'm a Georgia boy. I can run my mouth for an hour and a half easy.
But the good thing is, if you're ever forced into an hour, you just have them come on for part 2 and part 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always, people are always excited to come back and talk. So I don't think
that's true. We've had people come back more than once. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll call it a night and let the two of y'all go on. You've got your son to deal with. Sarah, I'm sure you've got things to deal with.
It's 1 a.m.
Oh, I do. Yes.
Well, I was about to ask, what have you got to deal with that's so funny, but I'm afraid to.
I do have a husband in bed waiting, so
Sarah, this is not that kind of show.
Well, it is 1 o'clock in the morning, and he does have a job. I'm sure.
It's like she won't stop talking.
That kind of thing is on Pornhub, not YouTube.
That's how we roll. Oh my gosh! All righty. Well, hey.
Okay.
Hey, with that,
on that note.
Y'all go ahead and get on out of here and let me do the closing things of that show. If I can, without laughing during the whole thing.
Oh, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks to both of y'all. This has been a lot of fun. This is just great. And if you ever want me to be a guest on your show, you know where I am on Facebook. Just give me a holler. So,
Okay.
If you got somebody even at the last minute,
Yeah.
because your show's on Monday, I don't do anything on Monday evening.
Okay.
Except for
Awesome.
football season, I watch Monday Night Football. But
You got some time. We got summer. We're good.
Yeah.
yeah. So if you need a guest at the last minute, just give me a call.
Oh, thanks.
Not so much a call, just give me a note real quick on Messenger, and I can pop in there. As you found out, I got stories. I can talk all night.
Yeah.
I believe Carol pointed out she can listen to my stories all night long, and I didn't give you a tenth of what I've been through.
Yeah. Well, good. Then we'll have to have you on.
Yeah.
There's a reason this beard's gray.
Uh-oh. We'll get to that. We'll get to the bottom of that.
Yes.
Paranormally Blonde.
Yeah. And if you want, I'll give you something else to research too. Look up H.H. Holmes.
Okay.
That's it's Chicago. The murder house in Chicago during the 1893 exposition, which, if you remember, a long time ago, the first part of the show, I was talking about the lady in Bachelor's Grove, Amelia Patrick Humphrey. Her husband tried to stop the Columbian Exposition.
Mm.
And that went on for a bit, and that's where H.H. Holmes murdered several people in the murder house.
Okay.
Look up Jeff Mudgett. You may want to pick him up and see if he'll accept your friend request on Facebook.
Okay.
The reason I bring up Jeff Mudgett is he's a friend. 2, he lives in Vegas, and 3, he is the great grandson of H.H. Holmes.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
Okay.
There was a show on History Channel. Don't open to that, Travel Channel, one of those, where they did a season or were supposed to do a second one. They kind of left it a cliffhanger at the end of it. Jeff has a little, upset with them a little bit because they didn't come back the next season, or at least give him an ending.
Right. Oh.
But he was actually on TV where they were tracing down some of the H.H. Holmes story.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So that's an interesting read. He wrote a book on H.H. Holmes. You can read that. And also, if you want to read about another history of another investigation in Chicago, look up To Die in Chicago.
Okay.
It's talking about the prison camp.
Oh.
That was in Chicago, just north of Soldier Field, where between 4,000 and 6,000 Confederate prisoners died.
All right. Well, got some stuff to look at. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So if you want to appear, I investigated there.
Okay.
And that was very interesting doing that. And of course, the battlefield's here in Arkansas.
Yeah, it's never ending.
It's never ending. Always something to do paranormal. The paranormal never sleeps, is what I say.
No, it does not.
And that's why we're up at past midnight and past 1 o'clock your time.
And her husband's waiting.
He's waiting patiently, impatiently.
We'll find out.
Did you tell him about an hour ago to be sure to take a Viagra?
Wait. Oh my. I can't answer that. So. Oh my. All right. Well, on that note.
I would say go have a good night, but that's kind of bad too.
It's already tomorrow for her.
Yeah. I'm going to have a good morning.
Yeah. Almost coffee time.
Okay. So I'm going to go because I'm just going to probably end up divorced if I keep going. Oh my goodness.
All right, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Len.
Hey, good night.
Good night.
All right, that's the end of our show tonight. That ended interesting, but we will be back next week, and my guess will be, if I can read this in the what little bit of light I got, Terry Spitali. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Terry Spitali. Spitali, not Patali. Spitali. Got to get that S in there. She will be my guest next week. We'll be talking ghosties, of course, because that's what we do here. And I will see you next week. And I have several other guests lined up for next month. I believe Bill Hauser is going to be on the show. Amelia Cotter will be probably not next month. She may be appearing in May. So she has a very busy schedule. And she's coming out with a book in April. So she'll be hitting the show tours later next month. And I'm lined up to have her here. So we'll be talking to Amelia Cotter for a while and her new book. Until then, we shall see you next week when again, Southern Fried Paranormal will be talking ghosts and goblins. Right now, Bones, take her away. We've had enough tonight.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?